Good morning. Thank you for attending the meeting today. As many of you know, I'm Steve Woodworth. I chair the Cruising Committee. If you're watching me on video now, I apologize. It means I'm at a location where the internet connectivity wasn't as promised. I'd much rather be participating live. I'm sorry I can't be. I'd like to start off by briefly thanking the hardworking and creative members of the Cruising Committee, Greg Nurgen, Jason Van Inwagen, David Risch, Laurie Knight, Barry Levinson, Peter Phillips, Dan Grossman, Susan Mead, Fred Treesice, and Anne Marie Fredericks. They've been doing a lot of hard work, and there's a temptation to think that they're feeling frustrated and disappointed now because a lot of that hard work perhaps won't bear fruit this year. But I think all of them believe that it will, perhaps later in the season or even in 2021. Now, as 2 years as the cruising chair, and for a number of years before that as a member of the Cruising Committee, I've come to understand that one of the primary functions of the committee is sometime in early May, commencing something in the nature of a floating, movable social event, sustaining it through the summer and into mid-October. As you can very well imagine, in the world of COVID-19, that objective has a number of challenges associated with it. For example, as many of you know, the Massachusetts Boating and Harbor Guidelines, up until very recently, expressly forbade yacht clubs from having organized events such as cruises, races, etc. That has changed, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. Also, many of the destinations outside of Massachusetts that we might normally visit, for example, Rhode Island, Maine, they have their own set of guidelines, in some instances stricter than ours. It makes crossing state lines in a cruise very difficult. The concept of social distancing, of course, makes restaurants and yacht clubs problematic for gathering spots on cruises. Also, it comes as no secret that the cruising population at Beverly Yacht Club, as at many yacht clubs, the more, so we say, experienced people among the age groups, and hence a little bit more at risk. Now, even with these challenges, there's plenty of reason for optimism. First, I just want to ask you all to recall all of the great years we've had cruising together, and ask you to look forward to those great years we'll have ahead of us as well. State guidelines won't be the only basis for determining our cruising activities. The health and welfare of our members will be. Common sense and prudence will be our watchwords, and I think that if we are willing to sacrifice one summer of cruising, that makes good sense in order to get things back on track for a great 2021. Now, that having been said, I don't want anyone to simply believe that we are abandoning 2020 for a cruising year. For example, while we were prohibited from having yacht club organized events, members organized an informal get-together and went down to Cuttyhunk for a weekend a few weeks back. We have been posting in Currents every week suggestions as to where people might want to go as individuals, and I understand people are doing that and having semi-organized get-togethers on their own without any input from the club. If things improve in the fall, there's reason for optimism as well. Perhaps we can still do our annual trip to Edgartown. The word now is that Edgartown Yacht Club is not necessarily accepting guests. A, that might change. B, even if it doesn't, we could still manage a trip over there on our own. Maybe the Racer Cruiser weekend could be rescheduled into late September. It's happened before. I can virtually guarantee there will be a few of the informal follow the flag weekends. But what about the summer cruise? This was going to be the year when we were going to have a cruise to Maine and a local cruise as well. Well, here's some good news. We're going to have a summer cruise. August 8th through August 16th, we'll be cruising to Mass Bay. We'll be visiting places like Provincetown and Plymouth and Scituate. We'd like to go to Boston and perhaps have a night at Boston Harbor Island, and then perhaps go into Constitution Marina. Do me a favor. Later today or later in the weekend, go onto the BYC website and see the details that we have in place. It's definitely work in progress, but we will be having a summer cruise. And here's some more good news. We are going to go to Maine. It hasn't been canceled. It's been rescheduled to August 2021. There has been a fear that because we typically have the Maine cruise on even-numbered years, and we're missing out this year, it's simply going to be abandoned. It won't be. It will be rescheduled to next year. Again, I want to thank you for attending and ask you to remain optimistic about the BYC cruising schedule, but most importantly, I ask that you accept this committee's fondest wish that you and your family stay safe and healthy.